what's up, Brandon? Early morning demo for you for your Spinflex by SP Sabers and Props. I got this done last night, but didn't have it in me to do a demo, so we're going to do it early this morning, and then I can get this out in the mail to you today, right? But it's installed with a Proffie V2. It has CC Sabers LEDs in here for the main pixel. It's in a very shallow pixel holder that I printed out so that you could get as much blade depth as you possibly could in this emitter. And then I came up with the switch solution that you asked for. Well, I came up with my own solution. You just wanted switches. This saber is made to be a static prop, and it has a carbon fiber blade that you can buy for it, and it's made to be that way. But then secondarily, Sean sent out a vented pommel so that those of you guys that wanted it installed, we'd have to figure it out. But I put two switches in here so we didn't just have to use the gesture controls. I put them up top here. So there are two brass switches. The top one is going to be your activation, and your bottom one is your auxiliary. What I did is I drilled those holes in there. I went in from underneath and I JB welded those switches in, and then I modeled my chassis around that so that it would pass by those switches, and everything's working really well. This is a similar technique that I use for an auxiliary switch on the flagship, but I just did it for both buttons here. I didn't want it on the control box for a few reasons. Number one, the control box is pretty thick, so getting 5mm brass tactiles in there would have been super difficult. Plus the threading for the handle comes up to about right here. So your switches would have been over here, and that would have looked a little weird. And then the last reason was in case you actually wanted to spin this guy around, right? This is pretty much the balance point right here. I don't want to drop it, I'm too scared, but the balance point of this saber is pretty much right here in this control box. So this is where you'd be holding it, spinning it around, doing your thing, and these switches are out of your way for that. So you'd have to come up here with your thumb, do what you want to do with the switches, and then you can get to spinning this. So that's what I did with the switches. What else? I printed my own grip guide. I made my own grip guide. So we got these grips on nice and even. First one, being aligned with the piece right here on your control box all the way down, and then the corresponding grips on there. There's 6 total. They're made out of aluminum, and it's very nice. It feels very comfortable. I did give this guy a nice polish on my grinder and my buffing wheels. It's got a lot of fingerprints on it right now because I've just been testing it and doing this demo. I don't have white gloves. I don't wear gloves when I'm testing sabers. That's just not my deal. But I'll give this a good wipe down with microfiber cloth before I put it in the box. And it's a lot more shinier than it was when it came to me, right? So hopefully you like that. Last but not least, how you get to everything is you want to unscrew the handle. So we're just going to unscrew this right here. Handle comes off. It is a nice tight fit and everything. Everything slides in, and there's no looseness. It locks down nicely. What you'll notice when you take this handle off is here's your chassis, right? So you got a Smuggler's Outpost emblem right here. It says SP Sabers Spinflex right here on the chassis. Solo Sabers over here for me. You're running a 24mm Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker, or it's not an Elite speaker, it's a 24mm speaker, and then your battery compartment. So spring size, your negative over here, but you'll notice it's impossible to get to the board right now. What I did with this chassis is I made it a press fit. There's no chassis retention screws. I was bouncing around the idea of putting a set screw down here, but I had already drilled 2 holes into the saber, and I didn't want to drill a third one because then I start taking away from the aesthetics, right? So what I did was I made a press fit chassis that stays in place until you want to get to the board. If you want to get to the board, what you need to do is you need to pull it out. Well, you can see how this battery compartment is in line with your switches, right? The top of the battery compartment rides up. It's in line with the switch box, which in turn is in line with your switches. It needs to stay like that. So don't rotate the chassis when you're pulling it in or out, because there's actually a cutout in the chassis up here so that it can slide past these 2 switches that I put in, and it doesn't ruin anything, and it slides right past them. So in order for that to happen, it has to stay in line with the switch box. Hopefully that makes sense. But when you want to get to the board, just pull it straight out. Just like that. And then there's your board. So I got a piece of art tape on there. You can put whatever you want. There's actually an indentation in the chassis for this art tape in particular because it's a 1/4 inch thick or it's a 1/4 inch wide, but you can use whatever you want. I just put that on there. The board's a press fit down, so you take that tape off, right? You can get to your micro USB right here and not do anything, but you'll want to get to your SD card because it just has a stock config on it. So take the tape off, pop your board up, get to your SD card, do what you need to do, snap it back down, put a piece of tape on there or something, and then you see how everything's lined up with those switches again, like I was talking about. So now we're just going to push it straight back. Just like that. And now it's back to its original spot, right? So after all that, let's throw a battery in. The speaker can stand to be turned up. Like I said, this is a stock configuration. So I did not even put a copy of the config on the SD card, right? So we're going to throw this battery in just like that. Take our handle, slide it on. Now you'll feel it. It's very snug. Everything is super snug in this guy. Up here is a press fit, so that had to be snug. Down here, I wanted it to press fit up against the handle, so it acts as an additional holder for the battery, and it doesn't wobble around if you're spinning this guy. So we've got our battery in. We're going to come up here and hit activation. So your LED is going like they should. Auxiliaries over here. We'll hit auxiliary to change sound fonts. Now this takes a 7/8 inch blade. There's 2 set screws in this emitter. You've got one down here. Don't ever touch that. That's what's holding the PCB holder. So just leave that alone. And then you've got one up here that's supposed to go here. I did not put that in for the sake of this demo. I'm going to leave it in your box, but you can put it in obviously if you want to. I've got a 7/8 inch blade that's been sanded quite a bit, but I just put a piece of masking tape or a piece of packing tape over here, and now it fits pretty tight. One thing I will say about this emitter is it will unscrew loosely on you if you're not careful. So what I like to do when I put my blade in, I'll put it in as if I'm screwing it in. And then also when I'm taking it out, I'm also twisting clockwise when I'm taking it out. That way that emitter stays tight. So, activation, auxiliary. I am having some difficulty with my blade because I've sanded it down so much. I'm probably going to end up having to make a new 7/8 inch blade to test because this one's just too old. But, it's working exactly like it should. Do a couple more. Just like that. But yeah, this guy working exactly like it should. Feels very light. And we'll take the blade out. And then we'll just take the battery out when we're done. Same difference, right? Or the same thing that we did when we put it in. We'll just take the handle off. From the positive side by your speaker here, you can come over here and you can pop the battery right out. And just like that. And that's pretty much your Saber. Let me know if you got any questions. If not, I'm gonna send this guy out in the mail to you today. All right, thanks, man.